Welcome back to my channel Learn History Easily. Today we will learn about Iran Revolution by Miss Nuhay. The Iranian Revolution of 1979 was a watershed moment in Iran's history, significantly altering the country's political landscape and reshaping its relationship with the rest of the world. Led by Ayatollah Ruhollah Khomeini, a charismatic Shiite cleric, the revolution was a culmination of widespread discontent with the rule of Mohammad Reza Shah Pahlavi, known simply as the Shah of Iran. Rooted in grievances ranging from political repression to economic inequality and cultural alienation, the revolution mobilized a broad coalition of Iranians, including religious conservatives, secular nationalists, leftists, and students. Khomeini's message of Islamic governance resonated deeply with many Iranians who sought to establish a government based on Islamic principles. The revolution began with widespread protests and demonstrations against the Shah's regime, which had become increasingly authoritarian and reliant on the support of the military and intelligence services. Despite initially attempting to suppress the uprising, the Shah's government ultimately collapsed in January 1979, and Ayatollah Ruhollah Khomeini returned from exile to assume leadership. The establishment of the Islamic Republic of Iran ushered in a new era of governance characterized by the fusion of state power and religious authority. Ayatollah Ruhollah Khomeini and his followers implemented sweeping reforms, including the Islamization of laws and institutions, the purging of perceived Western influences, and the consolidation of power within the hands of clerics. Iran's revolution began with a popular democracy movement and ended with the establishment of the world's first Islamic state. Background. By the end of the Second World War, the United States provided Iran with economic and political support in return for their membership in the democratic Western Bloc. As a result, Mohammad Mossadegh's National Front became the first democratically elected Iranian government in 1951. Mossadegh was a modern, secular-leaning, progressive leader who was able to gain the broad support of both the secular elite and the Iranian ulama, religious scholar. After coming to power, Mossadegh made a bold move to address the issue of exploitation of Persian oil by Western powers through nationalizing the previously British-owned Anglo-Iranian Oil Company, AIOC. This did not work out in his favor, as it attracted British and US economic sanctions. This in turn crippled the Iranian economy. In 1953, Mossadegh was replaced in a military coup organized by the Central Intelligence Agency, CIA, and British intelligence. As a result, King Reza Pahlavi, reigning monarch of Iran, was returned to power and the Anglo-Iranian Oil Company became BP, British Petroleum, with a 50-50 divide of profits. Not only did this intervention leave Iranians with a sense of bitter humiliation and betrayal, its impact also reverberated within the wider Muslim world. It sent the message that a democratically elected government would be toppled if it did not fit with Western interests. This narrative continues to be the dominant discourse of Islamist activists to this day, used in explaining world events that affect the Muslim masses. Between 1953 and 1977, the Shah relied heavily on the US in his efforts to modernize the army, Iranian society, and build the economy. Though his economic program brought prosperity and industrialization to Iran and educational initiatives increased literacy levels, this all came at a hefty cost. Wealth was unequally distributed, there was a development of an underclass of peasants migrating to urban centers and large-scale political suppression of dissent. Disillusioned religious scholars were alarmed at the top-down imposition of a Western lifestyle. Parda system was removed from Iran, believing Islam was being completely removed from society. Religious people were given harsh punishment who used to not follow his instruction. He was oppressive, brutal, corrupt. Revolution. Distrust of the Shah's economic policy and resentment of his autocratic style fueled dissent against his regime. Under these circumstances, among many protests, sustained and indirect opposition came from the religious circles led by Ayatollah Khomeini, a Shia cleric living in exile in Paris. The persistent protests instigated by Khomeini's followers swelled to include all major cities, which culminated in the revolution on February 1, 1979, when Khomeini triumphantly returned to Iran. The impact of the revolution. The Iranian Revolution was a watershed event that not only transformed Iran completely, but also had far-reaching consequences for the world. It caused a deep shift in Cold War and global geopolitics as US not only lost a key strategic ally against the communist threat, but it also gained a new enemy. The Iranian Revolution dramatically altered Middle Eastern politics. It flamed a regional sectarian Cold War between Iran and Saudi Arabia. The revolution challenged Saudi Arabia's monarchy and its claim for leadership of the Muslim world. Overall, the Iranian Revolution of 1979 remains a complex and multifaceted event, with enduring legacies both within Iran and across the broader region. It marked the end of the Pahlavi monarchy and the beginning of an experiment in Islamic governance that continues to shape Iran's domestic politics and its role on the global stage. PLZ, do like and subscribe.